Alright, hello everyone. I got the story unfucked, at the very least in my head. But, yeah. Since Kotsky is not going to the, woods, that all would happen. And, the characters would have been getting stronger in MHA, as well as the, the usual location. That Izuku, Gray, and his boy, and Bakugo has been around, to be honest. And to be honest, Izuku has started talking to Kami, like, a lot more. Or they aren't in, like, a romantic stage of a relationship. They're more like, we'll just talk for now. How we'll be flirty. It depends on, like, if we're okay with it. If both of us want to, yeah, sure, they'll jump on it. But other than that, not now. But, yeah. The person that, wanted Izuku really to be under his agency does end up reaching out to him. But, since Stain died, and, people know who killed Stain, Izuku, Izuku has been, getting attacked more frequently. Now you're like, what do you mean by that? I mean, Izuku has been getting attacked by people like Spinner. Because since Stain did not give his little inspirational thing, there wouldn't be any motivation. Shigaraki's entire fucking plan for the Nomu attack was wasted because of this fucking kid who isn't even in fucking UA. Matter of factly, it seems like he hates fucking All Might. Like, to hell and back. He just fucking hates him. So, eventually, there would be a little, how do I say it properly? More of a time period where Izuku would be getting, jumped and, having to, travel in groups and shit. Because, and actually damn near be put under witness protection. Because people like Shredder, Toga didn't really give that much of a fuck. I don't think so. Oh, but, Izuku walking around now has his head more on a swivel because people, like I said, like Spinner, have jumped him on his way back home. Granted, he was with Gray. Even if Gray is quirkless, he's man could box anyway. But more specifically, Izuku has almost this new fire in his stomach ever since Stain died and people started to attack him. He was like, alright, if people want to fucking play hardball with me, I'ma play hardball. Which means Izuku, when he gets attacked this time, which I'ma say, it was a coincidence in all reality, but, Izuku was walking through the wrong part of town at just an inconvenient time. And people who stole a lot of shit happened to bump into Izuku, and Izuku seeing this woman running after them saying, "Stop, thief." Now, I don't know about you, but it's more along the lines of Izuku has the same tendency that Brick does. That's like, you would feel like an asshole if you just sat there and watched. You would. Because if you had like a power like Izuku's, you'd feel like shit. I could have done something. Now there's a corpse. Like one of those situations. But Izuku vanishes into an alleyway, uses his quirk, get on a roof, and just kind of starts following them. He texts you to stay with the woman and try and tell her it's going to be dealt with. Trust. But, yeah, no, they get away to this attempt to get into a van, and Izuku just kind of walks out behind the van as he used his acidic touch to just kind of melt one of the tire wheels. Heals like all the way to like the core of the tire, so that bitch ain't really gonna move good. And Izuku just like leans on their car and it's like, oh fuck. Because one of them ends up like knowing Izuku, and since Izuku is kind of well known in the media, who wouldn't know the person who killed the hero, had the hero killer basically commit suicide. 2, got punched by All Might, seemingly full force, and survived. And 3, most important one, someone that wouldn't just let something happen. Right? Because Izuku has said this over, like, some other stuff. Like, I'm gonna say, a little bit head of stuff when it comes down to, like, hey, if there's something happening, let's say a man is about out to shoot someone, or like someone's clearly about to get away, and there are no heroes around, he is going to step in. Now, this got a mixed review from the public, because he would then proceed to say, hey, now, if you have a power as strong that would let you survive a full force punch from All Might, which, that's what Izuku believes it was. It was more like a 25. But, regardless, he would say full force, and he would know that it would be a lie. But, he's still like 90% certain that, oh yeah, no, he would splatter me, but I would be fine. But when it comes down to it, Izuku says, with my exact power set, it would be more of a, not even a disservice, but just kind of stupid to let it happen. And they're like, what do you mean? And it's like, okay, look, alright. There's a man in an alleyway robbing a woman. Isn't holding her hostage, isn't doing anything, and you have a super strength quirk that also buffs your speed. You have 2 options. You could help that woman because there are no heroes around, or 2, you could let her get robbed. What do you do? Because for some reason, this man is holding a knife, which insinuates 2 things. 1, he Either it's quirkless or he has a blade quirk, or a metal usage quirk, or it requires blood to be used, but you're certain if you hit him like right inside the head, you could put him unconscious. One quick hit. He might not even see you coming. Yeah, no, he's too focused on the lady. What would you do? Would you watch that woman get robbed, or would you step in and do something good? Now pause your answers. Now let's go to another situation. Sometimes, as we all know, heroes could be corrupt, dirty. Now, there was a couple other heroes. I want to say there were 3 of them. One named... I'm just going to put insert name here for the 3 heroes, but they were corrupt dickheads. Those 3 were... I don't know, they finished a job. And then they proceeded to just shake the people down that they saved. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, that's unlikely, but it still happens. For instance, the 3 names of which I named ended up going to prison for that same thing. Because they finally robbed the wrong person. Now, understandably, there would be multiple facets of this. Would you record it? Would you try to intervene? What would you do? I'm not going to intervene personally, because no physical harm is going to take place on this woman. But as soon as the first punch is thrown, I'm going in there. I'm going to transform into my sludge with or without my gloves on. And I'm going to knock them unconscious. It just depends on how they take it. Because if they proceed with violence on a woman that has done nothing wrong, of course I'm going to jump in. Who wouldn't? If you watched the entire scene, back to forth, would you jump in? That is my question. Now, pause your answer once again. If there was, let's say, a child with a quirk that was somewhat out of control. Clearly, the child was scared, homeless, starving. And you see him on his last legs. You are certain, if you leave him there, he will die of hypothermia in the cold winter. 2, you could walk away from him and pretend like you didn't see it. Or you could actually help that child. Now, I want you to give me a detailed question. Specifically, a detailed answer of each and why. One would say they would go in because that would be the right thing to do for the first question. The second question, more specifically, about the 3 hero situation, they would record, wait, and then call the police. And for the third, they would try to help. Now, it's clear to some of the audience, since this was a unscripted thing that Izuku did on basically news, it caught the person with their pants down, and he had to do something very out of character, which was strange. This man denounced vigilantism as condemning all forms of it. And Izuku would look at the man and say, Mr. Connolly Kujo, that is your name, yes? Yes, he's like, yes. How strange. There were 16 stories that seemingly were back-to-back about the same person. This was the honeybee case. Now, in this world, the honeybee case kind of wasn't even an act of vigilantism. It was an act of quirk self-defense that was posted as vigilantism. Everyone knows that that was an act of self-defense. But you claimed up and down that it was a vigilante case. But the interesting thing is, for the first question, you said something extremely out of character. You said that you would do an act of vigilantism. Something that you have denounced verbally and viciously extreme amounts of times, Mr. Kujo. Now, the interesting part about this is that the second question. You see, there are multiple types of people, and I can't lob them all into groupings. But, as we all know, 9 times out of 10, the news has a set script. And sometimes people go off script to get a point across. Like what is happening now. Now, when it comes down to the entirety of this situation, there is a boatload of questions I would like to ask you. But this broadcast only goes for 30 minutes. So I would like to ask the audience these questions. Because is stopping someone from getting hurt a crime? Is stopping a man from hurting someone, man or woman hurting some other man or woman, hell, maybe even a child? It's strange. And it's interesting. But the more important thing that I would like to get off my chest is, how exactly should law define vigilantism? As we have seen through the honeybee case, a clear case of self-defense was trumped up to charges of vigilantism, even though that woman was defending her sister. Because keep that in mind, even though you're shopping with someone that you clearly know like the back of your hand, because that man did not die. People in some stages would see what I did as vigilantism. Even though I'm specifically talking about the Stain case. Stain committed suicide because he did not know of me. And he then proceeded to rapidly age and die because, well, he ate nuclear waste. Now, my quirk allows me to I'm gonna check that out later. But my specific standpoint on the situation is how exactly to define vigilantism. Because if we define it wrongly, like the honeybee case, it could be catastrophic. It would lead to children coming home to no fathers or mothers. Hell, probably neither. Coming home to orphanages. Now, as an orphan myself, I know I was lucky. There were a lot of creeps that came into the orphanage. One of them named Mr. McIntosh, who would further, about 4 weeks after figuring out that a child went missing, would be found, they would find a child dead, a murder weapon in his hand, an open-closed smoking gun case. But for some reason, he almost got out. Now, I personally don't know why people would argue about this. The bloody knife when it was in his hands. The entire thing was so easily accessible and digestible. They were thinking, no, something wasn't right. Granted, but that is human nature. We are inquisitive. Sometimes so inquisitive, the people like Detective Noimasa. Wait. I actually hope that's all my detective. I need to go check that real quick. I was right, it is Noimasa. Like Noimasa, who would later almost attempt to bring up the strange and still yet unable to be proven evidence of that child trying to kill the man. Even though there were no defensive wounds at all on the man. Not at all. There were no bruising on the boy's wrists either, or arms. It was clearly just a stabbing. But he still brought it up and almost let a child murderer walk out free. Personally, I disdain that man. And the man that let someone that I knew, his murderer, almost walk out. And the strange thing, that almost was me that was chosen by that man. But I didn't want to leave. I denied. I would be fine regardless. But hey, I'm not good people, but I'm decent. So yes. But yeah, I'm gonna have to end the episode there. Hope all of you enjoyed. Yeah,